You ever had one of those days where everything feels slightly off? Like your favorite snack suddenly tastes different, or your phone background looks weird, even though you swear you didn't change it? That's how it started for Ethan. Just a regular guy, living a regular life, until one morning, he blinked, and something changed. It wasn't big. It wasn't dramatic. It was small, so small, he thought his eyes were just playing tricks on him. He blinked once while brushing his teeth, and suddenly, his toothbrush was blue instead of green. He frowned. Blinked again. Now it was orange. Okay, maybe I'm just tired, he muttered, tossing the toothbrush aside. But deep down, he knew something was strange. He walked out to the kitchen, blinked again, and his cat, the same cat he'd had for 3 years, was wearing a tiny red bow tie. What the? Ethan whispered. His cat just stared at him like, "You finally noticed." He laughed it off, grabbed his coffee mug, and blinked again. Now, the mug said. #1 dad. Ethan wasn't even a dad. Alright, this is getting weird, he said aloud, half amused, half nervous. He tried calling his friend Jake. Hey man, quick question, did you ever see your cat wearing clothes? Jake laughed. Bro, are you wearing clothes? It's like 2 p.m., wake up properly. Ethan smiled awkwardly, hung up, and decided to test something. He stood in front of his mirror, took a deep breath, and blinked. The reflection behind him, the entire room, had changed slightly. The painting on the wall was now of a beach instead of a mountain. His hair looked 1 inch longer. The shirt he was wearing was suddenly black instead of gray. He blinked again. And again. And again. Each blink was like a mini glitch in reality. The world shifted a little. Not broken, just different. By afternoon, he was more entertained than scared. Every time he blinked, something new appeared. His phone wallpaper changed. His cereal box had a different brand name. His neighbor's car was now bright yellow instead of silver. It was like living in a never-ending dream that kept editing itself. At first, Ethan loved it. He couldn't stop laughing. He blinked to change the weather. He blinked to skip boring moments. He blinked to see what would happen next. It was like having a superpower no one else knew about. But then, things started to get confusing. One night, while eating dinner, Ethan blinked, and his kitchen looked exactly the same, except for one thing. There was a framed photo on the wall of him, with a woman and 2 kids. He blinked again, and the photo vanished. He stared at the blank wall, heart racing. Was that my family? He didn't have a family. Not that he remembered. That was the first time the fun started to feel unsettling. The next morning, Ethan woke up in a completely different room. Same bed, same clothes, but different walls, different curtains. He jumped out of bed. What the hell? He blinked. Now he was back in his original apartment. He blinked again. And suddenly, he was in a quiet forest, with birds chirping outside an open window that didn't exist before. His phone buzzed. It was his mom. She sounded off. Ethan, honey, you okay? You sound different every time we talk. He swallowed hard. Mom, what do you mean? She sighed. Last week you said you moved to Chicago? Now you're saying you're still in California. Are you traveling? He froze. He blinked once, and his phone disappeared. Gone. That was the moment he realized. Every blink wasn't just changing his world, it was changing which world he was in. He started experimenting again, carefully this time. He blinked and made notes. Blink 1, cat's bow tie disappears. Blink 2, my shirt changes color. Blink 3, the world outside looks sunnier. Blink 4, I live in a city with flying cars? That last one made him laugh. He blinked again, and the cars were normal again. But then, he saw something that froze him. Across the street, there was a man standing, same height, same face, same clothes. It was him. He blinked. The man was gone. He blinked again. The man was closer. Ethan took a step back, heartbeat thumping. What are you? He whispered. The other version of him smiled faintly. And then, blink, gone. Ethan realized he wasn't just changing the world. He was sliding between versions of reality. Each one slightly different. Each one where he existed too. He began to wonder. Was he replacing other versions of himself? Or were they replacing him? He didn't know. But he was determined to find out. So, he started recording videos, writing down every blink change he noticed. He'd look back at the footage and sometimes, the video itself had changed. A photo that wasn't there before. A background that didn't exist. Reality itself was rewriting his story. But Ethan wasn't scared. Not yet. He thought maybe, just maybe, this was his purpose. To understand how fragile our reality really is. How every moment, even without blinking, the world changes a little anyway. He smiled, half amused, half amazed. He didn't realize this was only the beginning. Ethan started keeping a notebook. Every blink. Every change. Every detail. At first, it felt like science, like he was documenting a strange natural phenomenon. He even gave it a name. The blink shift. He wrote. Every time I blink, the world realigns itself slightly, like a camera lens focusing on a different version of the same picture. It became his mission, not to stop it, but to understand it. One day, Ethan noticed something new. When he blinked, something stayed the same, his cat, his room, but other things changed in a pattern. The same cup appeared every 5th blink. The same song played on the radio every 10th blink. It was like the universes were looping, overlapping. He smiled. If I can find the pattern, he whispered, maybe I can find home. That night, he tried to stay awake, terrified that if he blinked, he'd lose everything familiar again. But eventually his eyes grew heavy. He blinked once more, and woke up somewhere new. A quiet park. Golden sunlight. Children playing in the distance. He sat up. His clothes were different. And on his wrist, a smartwatch he didn't own. The watch screen glowed with a message. Welcome back, Ethan. He froze. What? He tapped the screen. It showed a map, glowing dots scattered across the world. One dot pulsed brightly, marked, "You are here." Soft music fades into mysterious, hopeful notes. As he stood up, a voice behind him said, "You're not supposed to be here yet." Ethan turned. A woman in a white coat stood there, holding a tablet. "Who are you?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Someone who's been watching your jumps." "My jumps?" "Yes," she said. "Every time you blink, your consciousness slides into a parallel frame of existence. Most people can't do it consciously. But you can." Ethan frowned. "Why me? Maybe you were meant to notice. Maybe the universe picked you to understand what everyone else ignores, that nothing is truly stable. Reality's just flexible." He blinked again. And she was gone. But the smartwatch remained, now flashing words he'd never seen before. Blink counter, 12,093. Ethan sat down on a park bench, stunned. He thought about everything. His old life, his missing memories, the worlds that looked so similar but never quite matched. Maybe every version was real. And maybe they were all him. He decided to do something bold. Instead of fighting the blinking, he'd use it. He'd explore. He'd look for the constant, the one thing that never changed. So he began blinking on purpose again and again. Each world like a slightly different mirror. In one, the sky was green. In another, people floated instead of walked. In one, he was famous, posters of his face everywhere. In another, he was invisible to everyone. It was like flipping through infinite pages of his own existence. But through all of them, there was one thing that stayed the same. A small graffiti tag on a wall nearby. A single word. Breathe. No matter how much the world changed, that word was always there. Ethan smiled. "Maybe that's the message," he whispered. "Even if the world changes every time you blink, just remember to breathe." Days passed. Ethan grew calmer. He stopped panicking with each blink. He started to enjoy the little details. The sound of rain in one universe, the smell of coffee in another. He realized something powerful. Maybe he wasn't losing control. Maybe the universe was showing him that control was never the point. That every version of the world, even the strangest one, could still feel like home, if you accepted it. One night, while watching the stars from his balcony, Ethan whispered, "If I can blink my way into infinite worlds, maybe someone else out there is blinking into mine." He blinked. Now he was back in his original room. Same cat. Same blue toothbrush. He laughed softly, a tear in his eye. "Hey, little guy. We made it back." The cat blinked back at him. And for the first time, nothing changed. That night, Ethan wrote his final note. "Maybe the world doesn't change when I blink. Maybe I just start seeing it differently." He closed the notebook, smiled, and looked up at the sky, infinite, shifting, beautiful. He blinked one last time. And this time, the world stayed perfectly still. Ethan thought it was over. No more jumps. No more sudden shifts. Just peace. But peace never lasts long for people who start asking why. A week passed, and nothing strange happened. No changing skies, no new rooms, no glitching clocks. He felt normal again, almost human. But deep down, he missed it. The curiosity. The mystery. The reminder that the universe was alive. He whispered to himself. "Maybe it stopped because I finally understood." He picked up his notebook again, pages filled with maps, sketches, and random words from hundreds of worlds. And in the last empty space, he wrote, If I blink again, and it all changes, I'll smile. That night, as rain fell outside his window, Ethan's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Did you ever wonder what happens when we blink? He froze. Was someone else like him? He replied. Who is this? 3 dots appeared, then vanished. Then came another message. You've been seen. Don't blink tonight. Ethan's heart raced. He turned off the lights. He looked at his reflection, the same tired eyes staring back. He whispered, What if I blink now? He blinked. Darkness. He opened his eyes. He wasn't in his apartment anymore. This time, it wasn't a park, or a city, or another world that looked familiar. It was space. He floated, no air, no sound, just stars surrounding him like diamonds in water. He panicked for a second, then realized he could breathe. A glowing planet appeared before him, blue and gold, with a ring around it. It pulsed softly, like it was alive. And then he heard a voice, not from outside, but from within. You've reached the center, Ethan. The place between all your worlds. He looked around, confused. Who's there? You are. Every version of you, every blink, every choice, every life. You've finally met yourself. In front of him, 1,000 versions of himself appeared, smiling, crying, standing strong. One wore a lab coat. Another, a spacesuit. Another, a simple hoodie like him. They all spoke in one voice. You were never lost, Ethan. You were learning how to see. He reached out, and as he touched the glowing light, memories flooded back. His childhood dream of becoming an astronaut. His first heartbreak. His first laugh. All the versions of him that ever existed, merging into one. The voice continued. The world doesn't change when you blink. You do. Every blink is a chance to see the same world differently. Ethan closed his eyes. Tears floated from his face into the stars. He smiled. Then I guess I'm ready. He blinked one last time. And opened his eyes. Back in his room. Morning sunlight pouring through the window. Coffee still warm. Cat sleeping beside him. The world was normal again. But he wasn't. He got up, opened his laptop, and started typing. If you ever feel like your world isn't enough, blink. Not to escape it, but to see it again. He hit upload. And that video, a simple story about how every blink can change your life, spread across the world. People shared it, commented on it, cried to it. It inspired millions to slow down, notice, and appreciate the small shifts in their own lives. As the camera slowly zooms out, Ethan walks onto his balcony. The morning light reflects in his eyes. He blinks once more. And smiles. This time, the world doesn't need to change, because he already did. Maybe life isn't about finding a perfect world. Maybe it's about finding new ways to love the one you already have. So next time you blink, don't be afraid of what might change. Be curious about what you might finally see. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because somewhere out there, someone's waiting for their next blink.